Namaskar. So, in this session, we are going to discuss media writing from research papers under the science, environment and health journalism. So, in the previous session, we have discussed about how to read the research paper, how to review the research paper, and in that context, in the continuation of the previous session, we are going to discuss about the research papers and how to convert research papers into media reports. So, red flag in papers, what we are going to start in this session, overblown words. Be wary of sensational language like breakthrough, cure or game changer. Responsible scientists usually use cautious, reserved language. Very small sample size is a study with only a handful of participants is unlikely to produce reliable or generalizable result. So, be careful when you are going to take or write any media report from a research paper. Carefully read the paper, check the editor and check the some post hoc finding without pre-registration. Be cautious if researchers claim to have found something they did not set out to look for, as this can be a sign of p-hacking or phishing for positive results. And extracting content for media reports. To write a compelling and accurate media report, you need to extract the essential facts from a research paper and translate them into a clear, engaging and clean story. And here's a breakdown of the key elements you should look for, presented in a simple and catchy way. And what is the breakdown? The hook. What's the central claim? This is your headline and lead. What is the single most important finding of the study? Sum it up in one or two punchy sentences. Don't use scientific jargons, state the core finding directly. Write clear, simple and straightforward way. The who, where and when. Establish the credibility and context of the research, who the lead authors and their affiliation, where the institutions involved in the research, where the research was conducted and when it was happened, the publication date and the name of the journal. A recent study in a top tier journal like Nature or Lancet holds more weight. So, the so what? Why does it matters? Connect the research to real life. Why should your audience care? State of the problem. How many people does this affect? Is it a widespread issue like air pollution or a major disease like cancer? Relevance to India, it is the story is for an Indian audience. Find a local connection. Does the study finding have implication for Indian public health, agriculture or technology? The evidence, methods and numbers. This is where you find the backbone of the story. Don't get lost in the weeds, but get the basics right. And what is the method? Was it a survey, a clinical trial or a lab experiment? Mention the study design and the most importantly the sample size. A study with 500 participants is far more robust than one with 10 participants. So, numbers. Use numbers that are easy to understand. Effect size. Is the effect big or small? Say, cut the risk by half instead of decrease the odds ratio to 0.5. Absolute versus relative risk. This is crucial. Reducing risk by 50% relative sounds huge, but if the original risk was 1 in a million, the absolute risk reduction is tiny. Always clarify. The bigger picture, context and limitations. No study is an island. A good journalist provides context. And context, how does this finding fit with what we already know? Does it confirm, challenge or expand on previous research? Mentioning prior studies adds depth. And what is the limitation? there is your journalistic duty. Every study has weaknesses. Mention the uh, caveats the authors themselves point out, such as a small sample size, a short study duration, or that the result apply on to a specific group. The failure, what's next? Tell your audience where the research is headed, and will other scientists try to replicate the findings? Could the lead to health guidelines or government policies? Is there a new drug, device, or product in the works based on this research? So you have to check and find out. Way to convert a research paper into media outputs. And what are the ways? Transforming a single research paper into a variety of media output allow you to reach different audiences and tell a more complete story. Here is a creative line for each format. Explainer article, the what you need to know guide the breaks down a complex study into simple digestible facts. Question answer with author, a direct conversation with the scientist behind the discovery, revealing the human story and passion driving the research. Graphic led features are also required. A visual feast that uses charts and illustrations to tell the story, providing a picture in worth a thousand words. Short podcast, the listen and learn options, condensing the study's key takeaways into a quick audio friendly nugget. And video reel, 60 to 90 seconds, a vast snappy visual summary for a storyline. It may be 1 minute, 2 minute, and a scrolling audience that grab attention in seconds. And social media thread, the thread of the day that unfolds the research on key point at a time, inviting public discussion. And newsletter brief is also required. A quick to the point summary for busy subscribers who want the highlights delivered to their inbox. And local impact story, that it's happening in your backyard, angle that connects the big science into communities' real world problems. So, service or consumer guide, the how this can help you article, turning research into actionable advice for everyone's life. Policy analysis piece, the what lawmakers need to know story, examining how the findings could shape future legislation and public policy. Data visualization story, the see the numbers in action feature using interactive charts to make the data dance and tell its own story. And replication check story, the trust but verify report that explores whether other scientists have been able to reproduce the original findings or not. Method explainer, right? CRISPR, a behind the curtain look at the groundbreaking technique itself, showing how science is done. And lab or field profile, a humanizing glimpses into the daily life of researchers, showing the passion and hard work that go into its discovery. Technological transfer startup story, the from lab bench to market, pieces that follows the journey of a discovery into commercial product or news company. Timeline piece, the how we got here, a feature that places the new study in the historical context of a scientific field. Debunking features, the fact versus fiction, a story that uses new researches to dismantle a common misconception or myth. Voice of affected groups, the people behind this number report, bringing the human element to the story through first hand accounts. Risk chart or infographic, the what's the real risk visual tool that helps readers understand possibilities and make informed decisions. Equity lens piece, the who benefits and who is left behind. Analysis that examine the research through the lens of social justice. Cost benefit back to envelope, a simple calculation that turns a study's findings into practical look at its economic impact. So, practical how to guide the here's what you can do: resource that translate findings into step-by-step plan for readers, interactive quiz the test your knowledge, engagement tool that makes learning about the research fun and memorable. Expert critic story, the peer review for the public article featuring independent scientist analysis and commentary on the findings. Regional language translation, breaking the language barrier to make crucial scientific information accessible to non-English speaking communities. Curriculum tie in, school or colleges, the what students should be learning features, the links, the latest research to educational content. Photo essays can be produced, a stunning visual narrative that captures the emotion and effort behind the research, one frame at a time. An annotated figure explainer, the figure 3 decoded guide that walks the reader through a key diagram, making it easy to understand, right? So, this kind of mini documentary solution journalism packages, a compelling short documentary or short film that tells the entire story from the research question to real world implications. And it's not just a problem, here a solution series like not just a problem but a solution, solution based journalism that goes beyond the finding to report on effective responses to the issue. So, tips and techniques for writing media reports from research papers. So, start with nut graph. A nut graph is the core of your story, summarizing the key findings, their significance, and why the news is relevant now. It provides the essential context and answers the so what questions for the reader. Always give absolute number. Avoid misleading readers by providing only relative percentages. State the absolute numbers to show the real scale of the effect. For example, instead of a 50% risk reduction, say the risk dropped from 4 to 10,000 to 2 in 10,000. So, like that you can easily explain your things. So, label uncertainty clarity. Science is often about probabilities, not certainties. Use cautious language like might, could, or suggest to accurately reflect the study's limitation and uncertainty. Compare with previous standard or treatment. Help the audience understand the significance of new finding by explaining how it compares to the existing standard of care or previous research. This provides crucial context for its real world value. Get independent expert quotes. To avoid bias and add credibility, always seek commentary from independent experts who were not involved in the research. Their insight can provide a critical, balanced perspective. Avoid copying press release hype. Press releases are diagnosed to be promotional. Instead of repeating their language, use them as a starting point and verify the claims with the original paper and independent sources. Use plain language and analogies. Translate complex scientific terms into everyday language and use relatable analogies to help readers grasp difficult concepts. This makes the information more accessible and engaging. Add visuals, infographics, charts, and captions. Visual can powerful tools for communication. Use charts and infographic to simplify data and always include clear descriptive caption and explain what the visual shows. So, visual can catch the attraction because when you click the photograph, you take visual from lab, scientists working in field, various kind of machines, a new achievement of science through scientists and lab. When you will cover all these achievements through visuals, impact is more higher. So, translate into regional language for maximum reach. To maximize your impact, consider translating your report into regional languages. This breaks down the language barrier and ensures the information reaches a wider audience. So, workflow for science reporting. So, what is the workflow? Now, we are discussing about the path where we have to go for science reporting. Creating a strong science report requires a systematic approach. This workflow helps you move from finding a study to publishing a high quality story like discovery. This is the starting point. Keep an eye on databases, set up news alerts, and monitor press feeds from journals and institutions to find promising new research. uh, it is triage workflow and quickly access if a study is worth pursuing. Check its relevance to your audience, the novelty of its findings, and the strength of its evidence to decide if it's a good story. And read. Apply 3 pass method as we have discussed in the previous presentation to efficiently understand the paper. This allows you to first get the big picture, then the main claims, and finally a critical analysis of the method. Verify. Science reporting is not just about reading, it's about checking facts. Contact and consult independent experts to verify the findings and get a balanced perspective. Localize. Make the story relevant to your audience. Connect the research to Indian data, context, and voices to show why it matters to people in your region. Write and visualize. Draft your story with a strong nut graph at the beginning. Use sidebars and visuals like charts to break down complex information and make it more engaging. Review. Review is another important thing. Before publishing, ensure your story is accurate, ethical, and follows any embargo rules. A thorough review prevents errors and maintains your credibility. Publish. When you publish, include essential details like paper's digital object indicator. This is a code DOI, it is well known DOI. You have to give proper DOI and add alt text for visuals to improve accessibility. You should also include a disclaimer about the study's limitation. Track impact. The work does not end at publishing. Monitor corrections or updates and pay attention to audience feedback to see how your story is being received. So, India's market potential in research based media. We are going to discuss now the fact that how we can create our market of science, health, and environment journalism based on new research findings. India's growing appetite for science based news is untapped. Niches include health and nutrition, malnutrition, diabetes, and AI in diagnostics, agriculture, climate resilient crops, precision farming, and genetically modified debates, energy, renewable storage, nuclear policy. These are the aspects under the health, agriculture, nutrition, and energy. When we talk about climate change and water, we have to read, understand, and write on monsoon prediction, extreme weather conditions, and we are going to talk about space missions, ISRO missions under space heading, private space startups. A lot of more than 500 startups has been registered under the ISRO's aegis, various agencies of ISRO, and lot of science technological startups are there. So, thousands of startups are working in the country right now. Defense technology, hypersonics, cyber, AI warfare, astronomy, black hole research, indigenous telescopes. So, lot of things are there, and building a science media market in India. What are the opportunities? India has a thriving scientific community, but a lagging science media landscape. The public hunger for information on science, technology, health, environment is immense. Invest in dedicated science desk. This is the key strategy. Media houses need to see science as a core beat, not a peripheral one. Create a pipeline of trained journalists. Establish more science journalism program and workshops. Promote open access. Advocate for open access to research papers from Indian institutions. Support niche publications. Encourage the growth of specialized online portals and magazines focusing on specific areas like health, agriculture, or space. Government and institutional support. The creation of initiative like the Science Media Communication Cell is a step in the right direction. More funding and collaboration between government labs, universities, and media are needed. Focus on local relevance, translate global findings, and highlight indigenous research, the impact local communities like agriculture, public health. Empower citizen journalists. Yes, our all fellow citizens, we have to train them as science or health journalists. They have lot of things to share. They have lot of feedback, lot of suggestions for scientists. So, provide tools and training for the public to understand and report on science issues. Suppose a technological intervention, a technological is reaching to layman, and our citizens are using that technology to their workshops, to their home, to their shops or business, agriculture, etc. So, empower them to write on that technology, how they are using and how it is beneficial for them. So, India can build a science communication economy through dedicated portals on science, health, or environmental communication, regional language journalism, science-based OTT documentary market, school college curriculum tie-ins, and policy engagement platforms that are required for to build a science communication based economy, Indian economy, and it will help our people for informed decision making, informed choices for their healthy and beautiful life. So, untapped opportunities in science, environment, and health reporting from research papers and reports. Antimicrobial resistance in India. Now, we are discussing what are the untapped opportunities in this sector. From you can generate stories from research papers for your media setups. So, antimicrobial resistance in India. India's hospitals are battling a silent, invisible threat. Superbugs are on the rise, making common infectious potentially deadly. Heat stress and labor productivity. A temperature rise, India's economy engine is losing steam. A new study reveals how extreme heat is costing the country billions in lost work hours. India's groundwater crisis. The country's lifeblood is running dry. New studies shown India's underground water reserves are vanishing at an alarming rate, threatening millions. Long COVID in rural populations, a hidden health crisis in brewing in rural India. Research shows that long COVID in pushing a generation of daily wage workers into poverty and chronic illness. Indoor air pollution from biomass stoves. The kitchen is a new danger zone. A study reveals how cooking within biomass fuel is exposing millions of rural families to toxic indoor air. Indoor toxicity. Mental health and social media in adolescents. In the digital world hurting India's youth, new data links excessive social media uses to a spike in anxiety and emotional fatigue among adolescents. Nutrition transition from millets to packaged snacks, India's plate is changing. This shift towards ultra processed food is fueling a silent epidemic or diabetic and obesity. So, impact on microplastic in Indian rivers. Microplastic is so dangerous. Microplastic or nanoplastic, and plastic has been, reaching in our body. So, with this detailed discussion and points, we are concluding this session with the hope that you are now you will try to write media reports from research papers. You will start reading and understanding media research papers. इन्हीं सब के साथ आप सभी का नमस्कार। Thank you.